morning, everybody, all the way back to the back here. So good to see everybody here this morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We also welcome all those people who are watching us virtually. We know not everybody could be here today, so we're so happy that you are joining us virtually. And I guess you got to still wear your pajamas. I haven't seen any pajamas here yet. I was looking that maybe somebody would forget and just come as you are. We do say come as you are, and I was concerned about that, but that's good. It's so good to see everybody. It is so heartwarming to be in community again. It has been way, way, way too long. So just looking around here. So good to see everybody. We're going to continue this for a couple months until it gets too hot out here, and then we're going to move indoors, but we're committed to in-person services. And we're also committed to virtual services because we know there are people either because of scheduling or where you live or circumstances that you would prefer just to watch it online. So we're going to continue that. So welcome also all those people. We also want to continue our tradition of great music today. And Georgia Davis is a ministerial student. And she was doing some work with us, and then I heard her sing, and I go, wait a minute. Let's get you up on stage and get going. So without further ado, here's Georgia Davis.
Thank you, Jay. Now, I know you all sat down already, but I'm going to invite you to stand up. Thank you. And even those of you who are at home. And get ready to sing. And don't forget, when we sing, we are rejoicing for Spirit. So however it comes out, that is the perfect way. And I love to hear everyone's voices. If you can, if you're willing. If not, clap. When it's time to clap, watch me. I'll go. Okay, go for it, Phil. You know this little light of mine, don't you? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the world, all around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Everywhere I go, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. All around the world, all around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Ooh, right, let it shine. Oh, thank you so much for singing with me and standing.
You'll just have a seat because you're going to be back up in just a minute, right? So happy to have everybody here today. We're going to try and do a few videos after the service where if you could just share quickly, we'll have people with their cameras out. And if you could just show or film somebody just saying why they're happy to be here today, what is bringing you joy today. So, and we'll share those and get some excitement going. But I'm feeling the joy right now just to see people and feel this connection together. I want to let you know, first of all, I just want to do our traditional blessing that we do. We don't have a screen up, so if you're new and don't know this saying, then just receive the blessing that we give you. So raise your hands and we say, we bless you today. That the inner radiance wait, now I have to we bless you today, knowing that the peace and happiness you seek is also seeking you. We honor your inner radiance as you let your light shine in the world. We are grateful for your presence in our community. And so it is. Sort of like a bicycle. You just got to get back on there and start riding it. And then our vision and mission statement. We are an inclusive community for spiritual growth and compassionate action. And our mission statement, we are co-creating a world that works for everyone by living intentionally, loving unconditionally, and seeing God in all people and all faiths. Those are great affirmations for us to have this morning. And we just, oh boy, I didn't see you guys. Hi, Jake and Mary, how are you? Hi. I am too. It's going to be harder to get through than I thought. So we have a lot of things coming up. Above all, during this time, although we have not seen each other in community, we have kept going with classes and meditations and our services, of course, virtually. And so we're continuing in the theme, and actually we're gearing it towards wanting to have a path towards practitioner if you're interested in that, or just a pathway of understanding more about our tools and principles that we teach here. So I think it would be wonderful as we continue to go down this path. If you're interested in being a practitioner, to sign up for these classes. And if not, if you just want to know more about us, you're welcome to. So the first one is a 4-week class in Foundations that just teaches our basic tools and principles. This will be a virtual class, so you can do this from wherever you are. And usually this is an 8-week class, so we cover it pretty quickly, but we're going to cover all the basic tools and principles that we teach for a Foundations class. And then the next 8 weeks in June and July, Bernessa and I are going to tag team a class on the roots of our movement, both the foundations of Ernest Holmes, our founder, as well as the ancient wisdom that makes up our philosophy and our teaching. So a chance to, in 8 weeks, cover all of that is another opportunity in June and July. Those of you who took a class from Bernessa know what an excellent teacher she is, that she really believes in science of mind. So that'll be great for us to tag team that because we have other things. So that's in June and July. And then August, we're going to run a series of electives. So it'll be a great way to get a lot of classes, both as an exposure to our center and our beliefs, or as a pathway to practitioner, either one. You can sign up for those classes online. And then in terms of ongoing events, we have a couple really big things going on. One is our meditation, our Wednesday evening meditation. We've been virtual for over a year now on Zoom and Facebook. We are going back live for meditation. We're going to do that inside the sanctuary. We're going to be seated 6 feet apart because our sanctuary is big enough. There's no chairs out right now. So we're just going to space out the chairs, and we're going to be able to play that beautiful bowl that we have that we couldn't play it online. It wasn't possible to do that. So we're going to do that and be present, and then afterwards have a intention circle too. And if you want to join us on Zoom, we'll still be Zooming it also. So you can join us that way also. Either way, we'll be doing that. You'll miss the bowl, but you'll get everything else. So, and then we have recovery groups and Course in Miracles and other things. On June 18th, we have a big fundraiser called Unbottled. That'll be a Friday evening. So mark your calendars, June 18th for Unbottled. That we have some big names, including, can you guys do a drum roll? Is that possible? Our big name is Michael Fronte is going to do a video for us and be a part of our fundraising program. So, and there's other names, but you won't go ooh and ah as much as that name. So that'll be great. So yes, fantastic. We're excited that that's going to be happening. So I think enough talking. I think it's time to drop into the sacred part of our service and back to Georgia.
So there's no singing required on this one. I invite you to get comfortable in your seat, to close your eyes if you feel comfortable with that. And this is a song from Linda Webb-Kakava. O lover of my soul and keeper of my spirit, nothing can separate us, we are one. O lover of my soul and keeper of my spirit, nothing can separate us, we are one. We are one. We are one. Nothing can separate us. We are one. All nations on the earth, all life upon the planet, nothing can separate us. We are one. We are one. We are one. Nothing can separate us. We are one. O lover of my soul and keeper of my spirit, nothing can separate us. We are one.
Well, that is so true, and so hits me in the heart. So I want to welcome each and every one of you this morning to our outside service and giving thanks for being one and being one in this courtyard, and giving thanks to the great earth for this gorgeous day and for all that has brought us to this moment right now. And so I will invite each and every one of you to just relax into the words and the singing of this service today, and know that you are loved and held in the arms of all this gorgeous community. And so I come to you today with a message about community. And community is not just the family that we are born into. That's a separate situation. But community that I'm talking about is the community where you come together as willing participants in a divine expression of whatever that is. For instance, this gathering here today, and I have been a part of this gathering since 2000. And this experience of community has been so heartwarming for me, and has held me up in times of struggle and strife. And I know that I am always loved here, and that I can come here and know that I'm accepted and it's safe and all is good. And so I thank you for these 21 years that I've been coming here. And I'd like to give another example of community. A friend of mine about 9 days ago died suddenly in a car accident. His name was Tom Overton. You may have known him. He was a musician in Fairfield, my community, and also in Napa, and in any place where there was live music. You could always find Tom with his ukulele or his guitar, and he would love to play songs. And he would do it without even being paid for. He would show up at brunch and lunch with his ukulele and sing. And he would just open our hearts with his love message and the fun songs that he sang. And he was always a little crazy because one of his my favorite songs was, "It takes a whole lot of liquor to like her, and when I'm liquored up, I like her just fine." Okay. But the funny thing was that Tom didn't drink. But we loved him. Whatever he sang, he was just a blessing. And Tom really didn't have a family, but he had a whole community of people who loved him from all over this Northern California. And last Saturday, we had our gathering, which we normally do outside, where you can have beer or sangria and there's live music. And they did a tribute to Tom because we knew he wouldn't get an official send-off. So the guys in the band played some of Tom's favorite songs and some of our favorite songs. And it was really nice to be able to gather for the sake of Tom and allowing him to be released into his next expression of life and to share that love that we have all held for Tom for so many years. So that's what community is. It's a coming together of like hearts and like minds to do good and to feel safe and know that you are loved. And so with that, God bless you all.
Thank you, Diana. So you don't have to sing on this one either. Ready, Phil? Whoa, 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 I awoke one morning. My head was full of petty whoa, 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 whoas. I couldn't find one single gratitude to get me on my toe. Whoa, 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 whoas. I was feeling so sad, I was feeling so weak. But from somewhere I remembered a prayer given to me. It was the universe conspires for my best and highest good. You know it waits with bated breath for me to say I do, and I do. I accept my highest good. I accept, oh yeah, I accept, and I let go of what could, would, should. Something wonderful's about to happen. It's something else I've heard. But there's another way to see it. I think I prefer that something wonderful is me, and something wonderful is you. Yeah, something wonderful is what we are Whoa, 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 through and through, yeah, through and through. I accept my highest good. I accept, oh yeah, I accept, and I let go of what could, would, should. Could is to prepare for a future that hasn't happened anyway. Would is what I would have done in a past that is gone today. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Should is how I should be right now, how I should think or how I should act. No, no. Even though I know in this moment, spirit is where it's at. I accept my highest good. I accept, oh yeah, I accept, and I let go of what could, would, should. I accept. Oh yeah.
Well done. Good job, Georgia. It's so fun to be back into live music as well, isn't it? That's just part of the beauty we are. You know, we have been here for this center, not in this location, but we've been here for 50 years. And 60, we've been studying Science of Mind. There was, I guess, somewhere like around where, if you know Napa well, the 9/11 memorial over there near Coles, there, Brown Street used to run through. There was a building right about where that is, and that was our first little study group that met, meditated, and prayed and talked about Science of Mind principles 60 years ago. So in 61, and now it's in 71, we were chartered as a center. So for me, this is to reinforce, to reinvigorate the community here is important, because I wanted to go another 50. Not that I'll necessarily be here that long, but I want it to be sustainable. And that, to me, that's an important part of our affirmation today. And it's also just good to see people, to be back connected. Now, some of us haven't shaved very much lately, but we're doing good otherwise, right? Everybody looks healthy, and it's good to see everybody gather today. And we are in this establishment of community in this way, establishment of this consciousness we see. So it's so wonderful to have that here. So this month we're having the theme of Holy Uprising. And it makes sense that we are rising to a new way in this community, a new resurgence, a new rebirth of what we do. You know, rebirth is an interesting word. Christians talk about it as they have rebirth in their faith. I don't know if you know the difference between Christians and Hinduism, but Christians, you're born again, and Hinduism, you're born again and again and again and again. Get it? Yeah. A little slow. I think we're going to have to adapt to my humor again. I think that's going to have to come back. And in Science of Mind, we are reborn in any moment. We realize that we are not in a trajectory or a consciousness or mindset that we are wanting to continue, that we have made some choices that are unhealthy or not life affirming. We simply switch and become that deeper connection. We connect with spirit. We allow ourselves to be reconnected in this way. And this is as a community, it's even more powerful that we have this holy, meaning we are whole, W-H, holy, we're whole, and holy, we're sacred, and we rise up together. Mark Nepo wrote a book called More Together Than Alone. And for me, this is a great theme, a great idea that we are more together than alone in what we do. And together we rise up. I had a funny dream the other day. It was funny and profound. So I was with a group of teenagers. I used to be part of the leadership for teen camps for over a decade. I was. So it wouldn't be unusual for me to be at an event with teens, but this one was unusual. We were at Disneyland, and I wasn't an advisor. I was just kind of with the group that I decided to go with them, but I didn't have any official capacity with them. So I'm prone to, in my dream, it fits who you are, I'm prone to distractions. So I started talking to somebody, and I turned around and they were all gone. We weren't in Disneyland yet. They were in line to get in line, and they had my ticket, and I didn't have any way to get in. I didn't know where they went. I looked around, and they weren't there. So I went up to customer service and explained the situation. They said, "Oh, come right this way." And suddenly they were taking me to the back areas of Disney. Now, I'd always heard about these places with Disney that are both underground or behind places that are hidden so that they can prepare to give everybody the Disney experience without seeing the raw edges of things. So I was back there, and they said, "Okay, well, here's your ticket." So they just gave me a ticket, and they said, "This is where the magic happens." So I go, this is where the magic happens. "Yeah, so you can wish for anything you want here." I said, "Well, I'll wish for $1 million then." I go, "Oh, wait a minute. It doesn't work like that. You don't get something for nothing. You have to put something into it." So there was this machine there that you had to put something into to get something out. So I started speaking to it about I wanted this experience of joy and of freedom and celebration, and out came a dozen fast passes. Now, if you know anything about fast passes at Disney, they're a winner. You get to go to the front of the line in these rides, and you can get in more rides. And so it's just this whole process about, well, I want to experience this. So then they opened up a door, and they let me out, and I was in Disneyland. And I was free to do, and it was I woke up. It's, big dreams, you wake up, and you wake up and you stay with them for a couple minutes, because I was just thinking about how this process of the science of mind philosophy, about how we give input and we get out. It may not be exactly what we're seeking because our expectations get in the way, but in fact, this is where the magic happens. Right here, this is where the magic happens. This community. And to me, it's just a celebration of who we are and who we are becoming in this way, that we are more together than alone. Our global vision that we have with Centers for Spiritual Living says that we see a world in which each and every person lives in alignment with his or highest principle, emphasizing unity with God, connection, and each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness, a higher state of life. Now, as I mentioned, the theme for this month is Holy Uprising. But in particular today, it's this adventure called life. This adventure called life. And I don't know about you, but it's been a year of adventure. One that was not predicted, one that was not known ahead of time. And for me, it was an opportunity to go deeper, to trust Spirit more, to allow this greater sense of this adventure and a sense of curiosity. I mean, we have a choice whether to be in fear or restraint, or to let go and allow Spirit to lead us and be curious about what is coming forth, even if we don't know what it is, because that's the nature of journeying, of an adventure, is we don't always know. I mean, we can kind of settle like I did at Disneyland in my dream. I want to experience freedom. I want to experience fun. I want to experience joy. But I didn't say, "Oh, let me lose my ticket and go into the back area and be confused and not understand and then experience it." But I experienced it in my dream in that way, and life is like that for me frequently. That it's not how I think it's going to turn out, but guess what? Spirit is there. Spirit is always there. Meister Eckhart says we are never alone. He says we are never alone. And it is a lie, he said, any talk of God that's not comforting. So Spirit is always present with us, always expressing through us in this way, and that is what we can count on. When nothing else we can count on in our life, we can count on Spirit being present with us and opening and allowing this to come through us as us. Ernest Holmes, our founder, says there's an inner urge in our minds to grow, to expand, to break down the barriers of previous limitations, and to ever widen our experience. This persistent urge is a divine influence, irresistible force, and constitutes the greatest impulse in human experience. To overcome fear is the greatest adventure of the mind of men and women. To allow this impulse to come through us, allow Spirit, even if we don't know where it is going. I'm a fan of the series The Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, and I don't think there's anybody a better storyteller in talking about adventures than J.R. Tolkien. Through the characters of Bilbo Baggins and the subsequent Frodo Baggins. I love some of the quotes that he talked about adventure through the author, of course. Bilbo Baggins says, "Sorry, I don't want any adventures today, thank you. Adventures are nasty, disturbing, uncomfortable things. They make you late for dinner." I don't know about you, my adventures sometimes make me late for dinner and make me late for other things, and yet it is the adventure where I find Spirit, where I find a greater sense of myself and what I am capable of. In Lord of the Rings, it's a dangerous business going out your door. You step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. And then it speaks of Bilbo Baggins, who decided to accept the journey, even though he was reluctant at first, the adventure. And he said that the author speaks in the author's voice. Then something woke up inside of him, and he wished to go out and see the great mountains and hear the pine trees and the waterfalls and explore the caves and wear a sword instead of a walking stick. And Bilbo said, "The wide world is all about you. You can fence yourself in, but you can't forever fence it out. The world is not in your books and maps. It is out there. Still around the corner, there may wait a new road or a secret gate, and though I have often passed them by." And of course, certain advice while we're on the journey: not all those who wander are lost. I think that could be our theme message here for us. All those who wander are not lost. Never laugh at dragons. Faithless is he or she that says farewell when the road darkens. So we know that we each have our own inner struggles, and they are to be taken seriously. At the same time, we know we can get through anything through our determination and our willingness to be curious. For the world is indeed full of peril, and in it there are many dark places, but still there is much that is fair. Through all the lands, love is now mingled with grief, and it is love that grows greater. I don't know about you, but I've had quite a bit of grief over the last 15 months. It's been hard. And the usual ways that we experience grief through shared experiences has not been as available because we haven't had community, even close friends that we haven't had around us. So it's been harder to do. A solo journey in grief is the hardest one to take. And there is love. And there is always more love than there is anything else. It's the greatest force. It's the greatest energy. And it's that can continue to be through us, allow us to understand more. A few weeks ago, I talked about things are either a blessing or a curse, but the etymology, the word origin of the word curse is not something cursing us, but it's the hidden good. It's a hidden good that we find, so we don't see the good right away, but it's there if we're willing to be curious and willing to explore ourselves here. Mark Nepo, in his book, More Together Than Alone, I mentioned a minute ago, talks about the origin of the word Homo sapiens, and it means wisdom. So the thought is that Homo sapiens, human beings, were more intelligent than other beings. And part of it's from the Bible in Genesis, that we have dominion over other things. More harm has been done than certain interpretations of Genesis than anything else. To think that we have control and dominion over all animals and plants, or even on top of that, in Genesis seems to think that men have dominion over women, which is just ridiculous. It is a made-up story, a mythological story that has truth in it, but there's so many holes in it. You can know. I mean, first of all, there's two creations in it, in the story of Genesis. So they were two stories merged together, not one. And second of all, at the end of it, of the story of Adam and Eve, they have two sons, Cain and Abel, and Cain kills Abel. And there's only two children that's talked about. Because Cain killed Abel, he had to leave the home, but he went to the land of Nod, where evidently there were a lot of people there, and he found a wife and had many kids, which started the human race. So where did the land of Nod come from? If you read the Bible literally, it doesn't make a lot of sense. But we don't have to get caught up in that. We don't have to make anybody wrong. What we want to know is that metaphorically, when Adam and Eve ate of the tree of life, that was the life force in them. The life force that is always eternal, that is in us now and is always in us, even if we leave this body. And they also ate of the tree of good and evil, of the knowing of good and evil. That's an important word. So of eating of that, we became God-like. We had awareness, we had consciousness, and Elohim, the plural of God that's talked about in Genesis, put Adam and Eve in skin, clothed them in skin, which means they were incarnated in this life, and they would feel pain and they would die, because that's what we do. Homo sapiens die. Eventually, hopefully later than sooner. But that's nature, and guess what? That life force is still continuing, and that's what we tap into when we doubt it. So Mark Nepo starts talking about Homo sapiens. He said we really need a new name for Homo sapiens, and he suggested Homo spiritus, which means that we are of spiritual nature, that the breath of God, the breath of life is breathing in us, and that is our nature. And guess what? That same life force, that same consciousness is in this tree. It's in all the plants around us. It's in all of our animals. It's not that we have dominion over anything. We are one with all that is. Connected, interrelated. I just heard a story yesterday about research about trees, that the adult trees communicate with the baby trees, and this chemistry that goes through the soil, and even the ones that are hurt, there's signals out to it, and they give it more nurturing. So, and anybody that has a pet that is a close pet knows that they are conscious beings. Our consciousness spreads out. It connects. There's a network, a neural network. So we are Homo spiritus. We are one being, one God that is in all things, one life force that teams in us. And the more energy, to the degree that we become conscious, says Ernest Holmes, the degree we become conscious of this life force is the greater our consciousness, our awareness, our mindfulness, our enlightenment will continue, will be. the beauty of life that we can find. And guess what? The same is true for your dogs and your cats, or your iguanas, or your snakes, whatever you have at home, or the animals of the sea and the animals on land, the degree that they are conscious of it. There's amazing stories of animals in the gorilla family and the dolphin family and the cat family and the dog family in the wild, and the awareness that they have and the communication they can have with us because we're conscious beings. So let's let go of that whole idea about dominion, and let's find ways to work together on this planet and together in community as a homo spiritus, as a spiritual being. So how do we rise up in this way? How do we connect deeper in what we do and all that we do? How do we do this holy uprising? Well, the first thing is we practice together as a community. Spiritually practice intentional living, unconditional loving, seeing God in each other and all faiths. Let's do that. And what's wonderful is we're not the only community doing that. There are other centers for spiritual living. There's other unity churches. There's other conscious organizations out there that are doing this also. You know, we talk about New Thought as being an umbrella of unity and centers for spiritual living, and independent New Thought like Agape in LA with Michael Beckwith. So there's a New Thought, but there's a bigger umbrella that I'm more tuning myself into. It's called Liberation Theology, and includes many progressive Christian churches. It includes Buddhist and Hinduist. The idea that our awareness liberates us, that we don't have to suffer, that we are free to live fully and completely because the Spirit in us, our awareness of it, frees us up. And we need to remember that. Parker Palmer told in his book called Hidden Wholeness, a great teacher and storyteller himself, told this amazing story about in the Midwest when blizzards hit hard, you know, the kind of snow that blows sideways and you can't see more than a few feet in front of you. There were ranches in remote areas where the ranchers would go out and they would become to tend to their animals, and they would become disoriented and would have trouble coming back. So they started tying a rope on their back door to the barn so that they could follow the rope out to the barn, tend to the animals, and follow the rope back to the house, because you really couldn't see anything in front of you. And it made me think about this year, and any time I become disoriented, what are my lifelines? What is my rope back to my spiritual home? What brings me back? And we need to make sure to keep those tools around so that we have them like a toolbox we carry around with us, so we remember our spirituality, our spiritual nature, our spiritual detail that we know, this life that is in us and through us. Now, here at the Center for Spiritual Living, we have a number of tools that we talk about: affirmative prayer, or also called treatment, meditation, mindfulness, just being aware, conscious, gratitude, compassionate action, being of service, non-judgment, acceptance, living intentionally, seeking wisdom and truth through study, through classes and things like that. So these are all things we offer, but you also need a personal toolkit. You know how you have a toolkit with your favorite screwdriver or your favorite drill or your favorite whatever, you know, no one else has to work. It's got to be yours because of your, just the one you like. So these tools are your personal ones. And last year, what's been important for me is my inner work, my inner recognition, greater surrender in my life, finding quiet, allowing the sun to warm me, allowing the wind to cool me, allow the water that flows to rejuvenate me in nature, having video calls with families. Oh my God, I miss my grandchildren so much. Two in Rhode Island and 4 in the Netherlands. But the video call something. It's a lifeline. It holds me. I see them. I love them. and connections with all of you, the classes that I've been teaching, the classes I've been taking, support groups that I participate in online. These are the things that keep me more than sane, more than surviving. It leaves me very connected and deepening in this way. In that way, in community, the second thing I would talk about this Holy Uprising is practicing unity in our community. Notice that as part of the word community is this unity, the oneness that we practice. The spiritual nature we practice this unity here. The Latin word for community means common, as well as it is the root word for communicate, which means a shared experience. So this community is important for us to share our understanding, our struggles too, our challenges. Mark Nebo talks about the two different kinds of Buddhism. One's a Hinayana Buddhism, which literally means little raft, which is seeking personal enlightenment. It's a great pathway. It works. But here we're more attuned to something called Mahayana Buddhism, which is seeking mutual enlightenment in a community. Mahayana means big raft. So we're in this big raft. And what we want to make sure that we have a big enough raft that's including everybody that wants to join us. Not everybody will want to join us, and that's fine. We're not going to make them. We're not going to tie them up and make them go on our raft. But we invite everybody. We're inclusive, radically inclusive to all people. That we practice this unconditional love in this way. Martin Luther King had a vision about a beloved community. And I was going back to his work this week and was excited to find a little piece that I hadn't heard before. He said to have a beloved community, we have to do more than desegregate. We have to integrate. More than desegregate, we have to integrate. And he goes on to say that if we don't do that, it gives social sameness rather than a constructive equality of oneness. It's where we might be, if we are physically desegregated but spiritually segregated, our elbows might be together but our hearts are apart. We might have a social togetherness but a spiritual apartness. So in that way, we celebrate not our sameness. In fact, we celebrate our differences. We honor our differences. Stepping away from judgments or stereotypes we might have of people. May 1st is Asian American and Pacific Islanders Heritage Month. So it's important to take the time to be aware of contributions that Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders have done here, as well as be aware of the oppression, the racism, and the violence that they have experienced because of their race and their culture, which lately in the last few months, there's been a lot of awareness of it in the media, which is great, but it's been going on for centuries. And I don't know of any other culture, just in my own experience and hearing other people talk, any culture that is more stereotyped than Asian Americans. So it's just a time for us to acknowledge their contributions and be aware of our own stereotypes and judgments during this time, and make sure that we have this large raft where there's room for everyone. The final thing about Holy Uprising that I want to talk about is the way we weave together in love. Today, later on today, we're doing a virtual celebration of life for my father-in-law, Dan Much, who was a great man. He was a great man. And as he struggled with dementia in the last, especially last 2 years of his life, he would remember the long-term memories, but not the short-term memories. He wouldn't remember our names. Even his wife, who They were married for 56 years. He knew she was somebody that cared for him. And he would tell stories of his childhood, of his 10 brothers and sisters, and the basketball he played and the music he played. And he could sing songs. I wouldn't know our name, but he would sing along with songs because that was some part of his memory. I tell you that because in this community weave together, let's make memories like that. Let's make memories that we remember 40 years from now when we're struggling to remember each other's name, but we remember the songs and remember the love and remember the joy that we experienced with each other. Let's do that. Let's make these memories together. Today, coming in, I ask you to get a ribbon. And if you didn't get a ribbon, then you can go back. There'll be more ribbons back there and markers and different things you can use if you didn't pick one up. But I'd like you to pause for a moment and think about what is important about this community to you. And give you a warning, these black magic markers will go through the ribbon and onto your clothes. So use the masking tape that's at one end to write on. So in a minute, I'm going to ask you to write down a trait, a God quality, an experience that you have in this community that makes it holy, holy. Something you're affirming in this community that makes it the blessing it is. So it could be as simple as love, or it could be unconditional love, or profound love, or soul love. It could be anything, it can be any word, joy, connection, whatever word. But just pause for a moment and imagine what that word is. And when you have that word, go ahead and write it down, and I'll tell you what to do with a ribbon in a minute. But go ahead and take the time to write down that word. Now, if you don't have a ribbon, you can go on back to the back tables back there. There's more ribbons and markers back there, so you can just pick them up there. Oh, and I forgot to mention those of you who are virtually, if you put in the chat, either whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, put in the chat the trait that you're thinking of, and we'll make sure and fill out a ribbon with your word on it, okay? We'll make sure we have plenty of ribbon and plenty of markers, so we'll do that in your honor, and we'll do what we're about to do in a minute to show you. To tie it onto the maypole is what we're going to be doing. So we'll write it out for you, and we'll tie one on in your name. So in the back of the back behind you back here, as you came in, I don't know if you saw it or not, but there was a tall maypole with one ribbon on it. I have shortened it so you can reach it. I couldn't even reach it where it was before. So you'll see on the outside of it a wire rim. So one or two or three at a time. Remember to practice physical distance. Go ahead and put your mask on when you go back there. Just tie this on to that wire rim that's back there. And then we'll hoist it up tall in a minute. And while you're doing that, I'm going to be playing a song called Weave Us Together. If you've been in this community, you heard Diego sing the song. And the words are, weave us together. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together. Looking for the words here somewhere. You'll hear them. Oh. Thank you. But you'll hear them, and you probably are familiar with it. But it's the whole idea that we are weaving together in this love, in this light, and in unity of love, together in love. And so we do that. So go ahead and start playing that song while you're doing that. And if those people that are over here, you can go back around that way if you want to, or just wait.
We us together, leave us together in unity and love. We us together, leave us together, together in love. We are many textures, we are many colors, each one different from the other. But we are one another in one great tapestry. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, together in love. We are different instruments playing our melodies, each one tuning to a different key. But we are all playing in harmony, in one great symphony. Weave us together in unity and harmony. Weave us together, together in love. Long ago we did not know our unity, only diversity. Now the Christ in me brings the Christ in me, in one great family. Weave us together in unity and harmony. Weave us together, together in love. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together together in love. We are many textures, we are many colors, each one different from the other. But we are one another in one great tapestry. Weave us together in unity and love. Weave us together, together in love. We are different instruments playing our melodies, each one tuning to a different key. But we are all playing in harmony, in one great symphony. Weave us together in unity and harmony. Weave us together together in love. Long ago we did not know our unity, only diversity. Now the Christ in me, grace of Christ in me, in one great family we must together, we must together in unity and harmony. We must together, we must together.
Wait a minute. There. We have the maypole, and we have a longer pole to stick it up to. And now, maypoles usually are a symbol of Beltane, according to the Druids and the pagans, the time of warmth and newness coming, growth of the plants. They considered that actually the first day of summer rather than in June. So they danced and celebrated, and we are not going to weave it together around, because I want to leave it loose so that after the service, if you want to come up and look at what people have written, then you're welcome to do it. So I'm going to put it in the taller stand later because you won't need to, but for now I'm just going to plop it in here. And close with some prayer. Because what I know in this moment is the Spirit is with us and around us and in this community. That we are never alone, this community is never alone, that we are guided and protected right where we are. For we are one. So we practice this oneness, we practice this connection, this unconditional love, so that we can have a holy, holy uprising together and in unison with all people on this planet. And for this, I'm so grateful. And thank you for being a part of this community, whether in person here or virtually, and knowing together we are this one community bringing forth. And so it is. Amen. And now, a little more music.
Well, thank you, and thank you all for being here. What a wonderful journey to get here. My mom, who's the first person who sang to me, is in the front row. That's who you hear. And the first person I sang to just left, which was my son. So, but we have a little exiting song, and if you want to stand for it, you might want to dance to this one too. Oh, aren't we doing the final song?
Well, you had a fourth feature song.
Do you want that fourth feature song? I thought you were gonna. It's because of the time.
Okay, all right. But Phil needs to know.
Phil, can you do that last song, please?
Number 6. Then. Before you do that, let's just do the community affirmations.
Yeah.
So, we love to bless our children. We know that we love you, we're here for you, and we always care for you. And also, we didn't pass a sharing of abundance plate today because of COVID protocols. There is a basket here, so after the service, if you would be so kind to support us with your affirmation, or online, you're welcome to use the links for Breeze to give us the support and nurturance that we want to have to continue this uprising that we have. And then, if you'll repeat after me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
Something wonderful is happening through me right now.
I am led by Spirit.
I am led by Spirit.
I am guided by wisdom.
I am guided by wisdom.
I am protected by love.
I am protected by love.
I am here to be a blessing.
I am here to be a blessing.
I am so grateful.
I am so grateful.
And so it is.
And so it is. Now, Phil, thank you. There was a time in my life I thought I'd have to do it all for myself. I didn't know the grace of God was sufficient. I didn't know the love of God was at hand. So if you're feeling discouraged, trying just to make it through another day, you gotta let it go, let it all go. And this is what you have to say: I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. I release and I let go. I let the Spirit run my life, and my heart is open wide. Yes, I'm only here for God. No more struggle, no more strife. With my faith, I see the light. I am free in the Spirit. Yes, I'm only here for God. Thank you.
So as we go forth, we remember that we are only here for God. And so be it. Thanks, everybody, for being here. Thank you, sound team, production team, video team, Georgia. Thank you, everybody. Good job. Same time, same place, a week from now. Mother's Day. Let's celebrate mothers and the divine feminine. Good.